Death, taxes, and the Celtics exposing the Sixers yet again. We're breaking it down. Sixers lose this one 106-99. We're breaking down top takeaways, player of the game, everything in between. Joining me, my man Tiago at Tiago PHL. What's up, man?
What's going on, Chris? If I told you that the Boston Celtics down, 4 starters, had close to 80 points through 3 quarters, what would you say went wrong?
I don't know. And especially with Harden and Embiid playing pretty solid basketball, and Brown goes out in the second half, and Jason Tatum has 12 points. Oh my God, Sean, what's going on, man?
Yeah, that one hurt. I felt like I got hurt like a couple times in that one. It was one of those, like, I accepted the loss, then we fought the way back in, and then there it is again. But yeah, this team just too unserious down the stretch, not enough execution, and it's clear it's just not quite it. Like the Celtics, I would legitimately consider the best team in the NBA, and it's clear that the Sixers are not quite on their level. So it's disappointing. It's a shot in the mouth, and you just have to win ones like tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the Sixers came into this game against Boston. Boston, one of the best catch and shoot teams, best spot up shooting teams in the NBA, period, man. And they were just on fire from three from the jump. 54% from three on 35 attempts in this one. The Sixers, like I said, outside of Embiid and Harden, they had nothing. Their bench, nothing. No answers with Embiid on the bench. It was just horrible. Let's go to some comments real quick, and then we're going to break down Embiid's performance. Steven says, I haven't felt this disgusted with this team in ages. And spare me the trade deadline garbage. We're going to have a big picture discussion very soon, because I think that's what this game is. This game was a huge test for the Sixers, huge opportunity, and top to bottom failed. Inexcusable performance. Not just Doc Rivers, but also the players. It was really bad. Patrick says, what's up? What's going on, Patrick? Thanks for joining. Bill says, missing 4 starters, and we have to play the Celtics 2 more times. They're getting exposed. And you look at Tyrese Maxey losing his mojo, Tobias Harris in a slump. There's so much to kind of unravel from this one. But let's start off with Joel Embiid. Tiago, I'll get up the shot chart because I have a bone to pick. What was your take on Embiid's performance?
Yeah, not great, to be perfectly honest with it. You're going to have the offensive numbers. I'm seeing Joel regress a little bit in terms of being able to play off aggressive double teams and aggressive help defense. If you go back to some of the Orlando games through now, a lot of turnovers, a lot of sloppy play, not being able to see the court entirely, thinking that you can – he's doing this thing now. He's like trying to split double teams with a pivot foot down, which worked a couple of times today, but it's not very sustainable. Overall, not great offensively, and perhaps Sean can add more color to that. For me, I'm going to go defensively because I alluded to in the beginning of the podcast, and I think we need to touch on a lot what went wrong defensively, but man, that was not a good Joel Embiid performance defensively. I think the level of effort, once again, was kind of garbage, to put it lightly. And we saw it with Blake. Blake had, 4 or 5 3-pointers tonight? Yeah, it stretches Joel's defense to the max, but at some point, man, you got to be engaged, and you got to get out there and defend somebody. And he finally did that in the third quarter. So I think that sets the tone of the level of effort that you get from the rest of your team that cascades down to players like Harden and other guys who just don't have the same level of intensity that a team like the Boston Celtics brings on both levels of the court. And that starts at the top. And I thought Joel's effort tonight defensively was very, very poor.
Yeah, and I think that's very clearly shown in the rebounding too. 7 rebounds tonight. That's never enough for a guy who's 7 foot plus and the guy that they need to dominate rebounds for them based on how this roster construction, the guys around him. Joel Embiid has to be the guy collecting boards, and he was not tonight. And offensively, I thought he had some moments in the first half, especially in the first quarter, where he looked really solid, took over a couple coast to coast, kind of getting what he wanted. But the second half, that kind of evaporated. And the shot selection I didn't like. The execution wasn't good. That air ball at the end was brutal. And it just can't happen. And wasted James Harden, I thought, had a terrific game. One of his better games, I think, all season. His kind of balance of playmaking, creating. He knocked home several threes tonight that were necessary within the offense. But Embiid, it felt like it stinks because I want him to be the money man. I want him to be the guy that drives it home. But it just didn't feel that way tonight. And it also, in fairness, did not get help. Tobias, I thought, absolutely brutal night. He is missing the shots that we all gave him credit for taking for most of the first half of the season. He is passing up those corner threes. He's looking hesitant. He's dribbling out of it. That was rough. So I don't know. He didn't get a ton of help, but Embiid, it's going to fall on your shoulders. And that lob play to end the game there, or not end the game, but near the end, which pretty much put the nail in the coffin, that just can never happen. And as much as Tatum did screen him, that's on Embiid. That's your job, man.
And I just to make one more point offensively, Chris, sorry, is that you can clearly see Boston was hedging heavily against that pick and roll. So they were throwing Tucker's defenders into the paint, unapologetically saying, you guys are not going to set up in the paint on this pick and roll. I mean, it was evident on every possession. And I think Embiid is too good of a player and too skilled of a player to just not accept that and throw up some off-balance, contested nonsense up in the air. I think Embiid is at a point of his career, okay, well, you're going to do this. I'm going to get my ass right under the rim, and I'm going to dunk on your head until you guys change up your defensive looks. I thought that he accepted Malcolm Brogdon switching on him on the perimeter too easily, falling in love with that perimeter look. So, yeah, I just expected more of Embiid offensive tonight. It was not a good performance, no questions.
That's my take, too. Thanks for the comments, guys. We're going to get to that real quick. But my take on Embiid is at the end of this game, in the second half, up until the last 25 seconds of this game, he had one shot attempt inside the paint. Grant Williams, Cornette, give me a freaking break, man. Like Tiago said, this guy just settles for fadeaway turnaround jump shots way too often when the going gets tough in the guts of the game, when they need him to get down low and dominate. And he consistently does not do that, Tiago. That's what I remember. That's what I'm going to remember 10 years from now of Joel Embiid. He just, I don't know. He's allergic to the paint, whether he gets tired legs or what is, I don't know. Tiago, any take on that?
Yeah, he's posting up less than he has in the past. And I do think for his longevity, he has to be able to develop in the perimeter, which he has to a great extent. But games like tonight, man, if they're going to throw a 6'5" guy on you, I mean, there's no way they're going to stop you down low. And I think that at that point, you got enough guys on this team now who can throw a good entry pass, who can throw a good lob pass. Get in there, man, and make it happen. I thought that, like you said, Chris, there's too much love around the perimeter game, which granted, he's become an absolute devastating force there. But you could clearly see Boston was not going to let him set up in that paint, mid-range, extended elbow, free throw area. They were pushing him out of there. They were throwing multiple help defenders, and he missed cutters. He missed easy layups. And I just thought that it was just, again, not a good performance.
Yep. Some comments real quick. Mr. Rudy Poo says, Al Horford being on the bench affects Embiid fadeaways against 6'6" players, man. We've got Boston super fan Tiago's favorite person in the world joining us, says Tatum with the prime Ben Simmons stat line tonight.
Ben Simmons would kill for this type of stat line.
Right now, he would take.
That's great. Freddie, my man, says, no worries, guys. Tomorrow, Korkmaz gets dealt and we're all cleansed of anything. Colangelo. Okay. Don't think we can afford to trade Thibault. Perimeter defense is horrendous. Tobias is a cone, and Maxey looks like PJ. We're going to get to Maxey in a second. We got to talk about Tyrese Maxey because this is killing me watching this guy lose his swagger and then some. Freddie says we had the same conversation early in the season when the Phillies are playing. Embiid gets soft against aggressive defenses and settles. Whitten says No matter where Embiid gets the ball, Boston will double him, and he has few reliable people to pass the ball to, and way too many people that will pump fake and not shoot the open three.
Yeah.
It's just maddening.
And I will, this is a little bit of me making excuses for Embiid, but it is tactical him getting the ball where he does a lot because it's the hardest place to double. I think he got sick of the getting doubled before he touches the ball and it becoming so difficult to make those entry passes. I really do believe that's been the mindset between him posting up at the elbow and getting that, but it's still like he's pushed into it far too easy and it becoming a preference and it becoming his sweet spot. Like that's great in doses and a great something to have in the arsenal, but that can't be like the every single possession, like just go to in the way it's become.
Yeah. Yep. We got to talk Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, struggle bus in this one. 3 of 14 from the field, 6 points, -10, 0 of 3 from 3-point range. I don't know what Doc Rivers' plan is with this guy coming off the bench. Very few pick and rolls. I'll throw it to you, Sean, first. Like, just reaction from this game, and can we call Maxey off the bench a failure? Is it too soon to make that call?
I don't think it is. I think I'm ready for him to go back in the starting lineup. I am sick of the Tyrese Maxey experiment off the bench, and more so than his shooting, than his ball handling, than anything else. I think the Sixers miss his energy and just him being a spark, him providing an outlet on the fast break the way that he does, and more so than anything to the team, he needs to find himself back. Like he doesn't look like the same player, the same confident, the swagger that he had, the joy that he played with. It doesn't look like it's there right now, and it's showing up in his play. The shots are not falling in the way. That one big 3-pointer that he missed tonight, that feels like one that like I've never seen Maxey miss in his career. Like a wide open 3 at that kind of moment on the kick out. Like that is one that we kind of like have come to count on Maxey for, and to not see that falling is concerning. And it's really frustrating because like I do still understand the mindset between bringing him off the bench, especially on a night like tonight where you need minutes from D'Anthony Melton, Matisse Thybulle, and PJ Tucker against matchups like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But Maxey, like if you have to find a way to bring out the best in him in a way that impacts his team positively, and right now the Sixers aren't, and he's getting the short end of the stick.
Yep. Thiago?
Yeah, I don't have a very definitive Maxey take, Chris. That's going to be like the end-all, be-all with Maxey. I kind of do like him off the bench because I like the balance the Sixers have on both ends offensively with their starting unit. But the one thing I think would benefit Maxey would be if he played more minutes alongside Harden, even though the defensive potential with that unit can be kind of catastrophic. I do think that by him just having an extra ball handler on the court and also perhaps playing with a little more pace, right? So when you're playing with Joel, naturally your pace drops. Having him play with a lineup that's going to inject a little bit of pace, it's going to have a little ball handler. Harden and Maxey last year, one of the things that they were very good at was when Maxey would set a screen for Harden and then get that switch and attack. I thought that was a very effective play. Harden drawing the defense, the extra defender, and then Maxey cutting off that with the ball was a very effective play. They've gone away entirely from that offensively, and I think those are 2 plays that can kind of get Maxey going again, but we don't see him play much with Harden, at least not as much as they have obviously in their starting. So I would naturally bring him up with James being kind of the 1A, 1B point guard. I think perhaps we will see a better version of Maxey. I don't think confidence is a thing with Tyrese. I don't. I just think he's going through a tough phase right now, which young players tend to go. I think the expectation that Maxey is a elite 3-point shooter is perhaps a little bit, well, it's warranted because he has proven that, but 3-point numbers tend to stabilize over a 3-year period, and we're reaching that 3-year period now with Tyrese, and I think perhaps he's not going to be as great of a 3-point shooter that we expect him to be, which is fine. If he's still shooting at 36, 38%, that's still very good. So I just think perhaps the expectation is a little bit too high for Tyrese right now, and he's just kind of finding himself through the NBA, and I think he could be better off with just having James by his side. So we'll see if Doc goes to that adjustment, but I kind of like the starting unit as is, so we'll see.
Yeah. Mr. Rudy Poo says Embiid and Harden are the only untouchables. Russ got turned into D'Lo, Vando, and Beasley. if there is a winner, maybe it is Tobias Harris's trade stuff. I don't know. Maybe there is a chance out there if that's what Westbrook got. Quentin says Maxey would be better in a better offense. Isaiah Joe, excuse me. Sorry, I was coughing there. Wouldn't that be nice to have a wing off the bench like that? I mean, where do we talk about here next? I'll throw it to you, Thiago. Any other takes on this before we get into our player standouts of the game?
Yeah, I got a massive take because I think what we saw in the fourth quarter was the lineup that worked very well, which included both Tyrese and Tobias on the bench, and the Sixers quickly turning a 10-point deficit into a 3 to 4 point deficit until kind of Boston got a couple of late buckets late. We've said this a million times on this podcast, and I think it's worth repeating now because you've clearly taken a step up in competition when you talk about Boston, even though they're down 4 starters, and you should have throttled this team tonight, and you didn't. Doc Rivers' reading of the game borders on the ridiculous, on the absolute ridiculous. When you're playing Boston, and you can see they were clearly targeting the Sixers perimeter defense every single trip down on screens. And you got Tobias Harris, who cannot stay connected on screens. You got Maxey, who's too small to go through screens. And you got Melton, who's a better space defender. He's an on-ball defender. He's a little bit overrated as an on-ball defender. Again, he gets disconnected off screens. And you have your best screen defender on the bench through 3 quarters. That is unacceptable. Like, that is unacceptable as a coach who's trying to win a championship. And I understand people have different varying opinions about what Thibault is in the NBA. And I know we probably bang on a drum perhaps a little bit more than what we should. But the reality is, as soon as he put his foot on the court, the game changed because they completely shut off that part of Boston's offense. And then you inject Melton and PJ Tucker on your wing alongside your 2-star players. That game completely shifted in the fourth quarter. Now, for you not to be able to make that decision through quarters 2, 3, and 1, that is just unacceptable for a team that's trying to win a championship. So I disagree with the notion that the Sixers have a large deficit in talent in Boston. I actually think talent-wise, they're pretty even. But the coaching gap continues to be monumental. It's monumental. And you're talking about a rookie head coach out there making decisions on the fly, talking about Boston's head coach, on the fly, quick, dynamic. And this guy takes 3 quarters to understand what was happening on the game tonight. So I thought it was a huge reason why they lost. And it's hard to expect anything to change for the playoffs. So I just thought that was a big point of the game tonight.
Yeah, and to zoom out even a little bit further, we're now at the eve of the trade deadline, and that was the first time that we've seen Matisse Thybulle in a closing lineup. That's the first time that, to my knowledge or to what I remember, is seeing that unit in its whole on the court together. And like that unit that was rolled out with Matisse Thybulle, DeAnthony Melton, PJ Tucker, Embiid, and Harden, that's a scrappy, hard-nosed defensive bunch. That is something that like definitely can be used in spurts and should be something within the repertoire, or at least be ready to pull or go out to when the situation dictates. And also shout out to Matisse for hitting a big time 3 tonight, which kind of shocking, kind of surprising. But if he's going to do that, like that is the real deal. That was a big time shot. And Thiago, that's your guy. You've been banging this drum, and he did come through tonight. So pat on the back to both you and him.
He also missed a floater and had a terrible bounce pass to PJ Tucker in the rim. Yeah. But we take the losses with the wins.
Yeah, no 2-man game between Tucker and Thybulle, which did pop up a little bit there. Let's cut that out of there. But as a whole, we'll take the positive.
They don't cut. They don't use his strengths, man. We all know Doc's not going to play him, and he's going to get probably traded. It's just what it is. I don't know where else to go other than that. Freddie Burns says, can we complain about Doc Rivers? I haven't done. We just did.
But Chris, perhaps you have another Doc take.
No, I'm not going to, because I've actually praised him way more than I've been critical of Doc this season. But
there's
go ahead.
Sorry, Chris. There's again, I kind of touched on it. Like, there's this notion that the Sixers are very talent deficient, and I disagree with that. Embiid and Harden are playing at all-star borderline MVP level. There's not another duo in the NBA playing at that level. I mean, the Sixers entered the court one step ahead the entire competition. Yeah, their depth is not particularly great, but there are pieces there when you piece it all together. There's some lethal lineups. Like if you look at the lineups with Thibault and Embiid together, these are lethal top tier NBA level, championship level lineups. And they do not play together. And when they play together, the impact is monumental, like it was today. I mean, it was monumental. Embiid, Thibault, Melton, Tucker, they shifted the game entirely. But there's no continuity to it. And when you have that type of disconnect between talent and coaching, other NBA contenders don't have the same level of gap. They just don't. I mean, it's much more connected. Boston is. Brooklyn, I mean, they have their own issues. Milwaukee is much more connected. And you just don't see that same level of cohesion with the Sixers. So, yeah, that is concerning because it's the same stuff we bang on the drum every single postseason. And you lose to a team tonight with down four starters. There's no way you can tell me Boston had more talent on the court tonight than the Sixers. With Thibault, without Thibault, with Maxey, with Harris, there's no way. No way, period.
Yeah, I always get curious, like what PJ Tucker or Thibault would look in like a Brett Brown offense, with much more motion, much more movement. It is what it is, man. Freddie says, can they fire him mid-season? It's not happening. It's not happening. Boston Superfan says, yo, I thought we were going to lose when Matisse hit that three. Freddie says, plenty of talent. Agreed. Backup center is an issue. What's the bigger need for the Sixers? Backup center or a perimeter wing defender? You have to pick one. I'll throw it to you, Sean.
I've all season said wing and kind of shifted gears of late to backup center. I think tonight slides me back on the wing. Just realistically, how much it was bad, how much that was attacked, and how clear, like, these are teams we're going to have to play, the Celtics. Like, if they want to win a championship, this is very much a team that you have to be better than, and there wasn't quite the answer. Or, I mean, it is management more than personnel, but I don't know. And also shout out Montrezl Harrell for the great quote via Keith Pompey today. Asked about what he needs to get better at, and he said, I honestly don't know. So
he could have asked us. We could have given a whole list of things.
Yeah.
Could have given this big stuff.
I agree, Sean. I think it's the wing defender. Like, the Sixers just continue to struggle so much against teams with athletic 3-level scoring wings, man. You look across the East, you look across the NBA, like, dominant wings just are everywhere, and the Sixers don't have anything other than a guy that Doc Rivers refuses to play. Tiago, any wing defender or backup center? Pick one.
Well, I think perhaps backup center, but I also think it's easier to find backup centers. You can usually find them in the buyout market when your names are not DeAndre Jordan and Montrezl Harrell, which are here for other reasons. But yeah, I think that they have perimeter defenders on the team. Thibault being one of them. Another name that they never wanted to try the perimeter is Paul Reed. Paul Reed has played perimeter defense in the past. It was interesting because the name being thrown around today was Jared Vanderbilt, who eventually got traded to LA. Like, Vanderbilt and Paul Reed are practically the same players. It's just that Paul Reed has never really gotten the full chance on perimeter roles. He's been primarily a backup center. So, yeah, they have size. They have flexibility in the perimeter. They just never rely on these players. So, if the goal is to trade Thibault because you don't want to pay him next year and you're not really focused on winning now, then, yeah, they should focus on bringing somebody here who can help right now and in the perimeter. So,
love it. Bill says, is Embiid ever going to not be a game time decision? Been this case for weeks. He's also been asked since the Denver game. That's true, man. That's true. He's definitely been, something's different. Freddie asks, is there any attainable guys at the wing that you can think of, like a Cameron Jordan or
Johnson, you're thinking of?
Cameron Johnson. Who's that guy? Oh my gosh.
I know Sean has done a lot of work around that. I see that he'd throw up some trade ideas out there.
Yeah. I mean, my dream scenario trade, which would answer both these issues, would be a trade to the Magic, where this would include Tobias getting sent out, but it would bring back Jonathan Isaac and Mo Bamba, which would just be the most athleticism
Oh,
this team
love
has
that
had.
trade.
Yeah, that would be my dream. I don't necessarily think that's the realest thing. If you have to pin me down and ask what trade I expect, it would be a Andre Drummond and Derrick Jones Jr. coming from the Bulls over to the Sixers, which Derrick Jones Jr. is at least an athletic wing. He's much better in theory than he is in actuality, but he would be the best athlete on this roster, and it's something. The real deal 3-and-D wings are very hard to come by in this league. It's what everybody wants. It's what everybody's looking for. So there's not a lot of quality ones floating out there, and the ones that are for a reason. They kind of tend to look more like Daniel House than what we're actually searching for, but I hope there's something.
Well, let me ask you guys a quick.
Go ahead. Well, any chance on Sadiq Bey, Sean?
I would take a flyer on Sadiq Bey for sure. That's another one because there's been some Nerlens Noel rumblings too. I think there could be a package that's a Sadiq Bey and Nerlens Noel, but I mean the Sixers are not working with the best of assets here. So if there's another team like more interested in Sadiq Bey, they can pretty easily get outbid. The Sixers just don't have that much to work with. But I would love to take a flyer on him. He's just a buy low. Like I think he's better than the perception of him is in the NBA. So it's worth it if they can get him.
Yeah, I floated this idea around yesterday because I thought it was interesting. Phoenix has been rumored to want a backup point guard for Chris Paul. So the idea that I floated out there, and I'm interested to hear you guys' take, is Maxey, PJ Tucker, and House for Mikal Bridges. Would you make that trade? Would you make that trade? Yes or no?
I wouldn't for that, but it's not as automatic of a no as I wish it was.
The answer is 1,000% yes, and I'm sorry.
I
would do that trade immediately, and I know I'm going to get flamed a lot. But if you're looking to open up a championship window for the Sixers right now, it is making that move, and it's a no-brainer. It is, and you can't have it both ways because I put this on our YouTube channel to vote on. I had this similar thought like a month ago. I think it was probably after a post game with you, Tiago, or something. We were talking about it, and people were so like out with pitchforks. Like, how would you trade Tyrese Maxey? But people are commenting, well, we need Tyrese Maxey for when the Sixers are rebuilding. You can't have it both ways, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably your only major trade chip. And if this is about the process and, landing the plane, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And I guess this all goes down to the risk reward as far as what the actual chances of the Sixers can win this year. Yeah. And the thing that has made me more firm to hold on to Mac and everything, and this is also very dictated by how good they believe Maxey can get, is I think there's a world where the Sixers are title contenders and can win a championship in the slightly past Embiid's prime, where he's no longer the scoring tonight, but he's scoring 15 to 20, dominating rebounds, playing great defense, and isn't as high usage. Like, I think Embiid can be a very effective player in that role if he's willing to accept it as well. There's a lot kind of riding on that. But if you think Maxey can step up to be like a primary perimeter guy with Embiid doing that kind of like secondary, being a dominant rebounder, dominant defender, and still like a pretty good scorer, like I think there's some weight to holding on.
Yep, definitely. I get it. I totally get it. I love Maxey.
It's interesting because you see how people view Maxey, and it's all over the spectrum between a foundational piece for a rebuild to a guy you should probably package and get a better piece now. It tells you the variability of the player, right? So we talk about what's going on with Maxey right now, right? He's just a high variable player. I mean, one day he can look like a star player. The next day he looks like a six-man, and it's kind of all over the place. And I think if you're a team trying to win now, like right now, you probably want something more of a sure thing, which Mikal Bridges is. And I actually think that Mikal extends your window because you have him for 2 to 3 more years at a somewhat affordable contract, and he's a high-level fit next to Embiid. High level, right? You talk about him, Melton. That is a deadly lineup with Harden, like absolutely deadly. So Yeah, I lean towards yes.
Yeah, it's definitely it improves the Sixers significantly, I think, given their limitations. But again, I love Maxey. And look at us, like we watch every game, and none of us can really truly tell you what the ceiling is for Tyrese Maxey.
Right.
We've pushed those chains back 1,000 times during his career here in Philly. So Quentin says I would do that trade. Bill says, have a nice night, guys. For the Eagles win. Stay safe. Thanks for watching. Nick is in the house. What's going on, Nick? Says, I have a strong feeling George Niang could be traded tomorrow. I don't know why. I'll miss the minivan for the personality. And GSX76 says, there isn't a trade we can make that will make us compete with Boston, Milwaukee. It's sad, but true. Is that facts?
There's one.
News. Okay.
There's one trade. You can trade Doc Rivers for Greg Popovich. Is somebody going to stop that question at the post?
Doc Rivers is one of the few coaches who has been traded before. So,
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh man. Quiz Max, Tiago. Quick player of the game. I'll throw it to you, Tiago. Who's your player of the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my guy Matisse, man. Anytime I get him, this may be my last Matisse shout
ever.
We'll be giving Matisse shouts for the Oklahoma City Thunder starting tomorrow.
He would be dynamic on the Thunder or like the Raptors or Warriors.
God.
Nuggets. He could be very good.
I don't know if you guys watched that LeBron game last night, but between LeBron breaking the record and Isaiah Joe knocking down every 3-pointer he took, I was just like losing my mind. But
Joe has like 10 3-point attempts in like 20 minutes. And meanwhile, Tobias freaking Harris and PJ Tucker won't attempt a goddamn 3 to save their lives.
Oh, you got it, man. Yeah. Matisse, man. It was nice knowing you, Matisse.
You never left the corner. Tiago never did.
We stand with you wherever you go.
I love it. Oh, that's so funny. Tiago, you have a player of the game, Matisse? Is that your player of the game?
Guy.
Okay, I love it. What about you, Sean?
I'm giving it to PJ Tucker. I'm giving him his flowers for tonight. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 made 3-pointers. I mean, from the PJ Tucker that we're accustomed to, that far exceeded my expectations. He played some scrappy defense. He did his thing. It was a PJ Tucker, what they need from him kind of night from him. So I'll take that.
Oh man, I'm definitely not going Sixer in this one. I'll go. Blake Griffin had a pretty good game. Made some big shots. I'll go. Yeah, of course, Blake Griffin shows up against the Sixers. How about this one? Josh Richardson and Cam Reddish to guard Boston. Did they even have anything to get Richardson or Cam Reddish?
I don't think Cam Reddish is sticking with either of these guys. But I mean, Cam Reddish is another kind of buy low, take a chance on him guy. I'm not the biggest Cam Reddish guy, so I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. Christina says, if a healthy Sixers team can't beat the Celtics bench, what's going to happen when Rob and Al Smart are playing with the Celtics and have home court? I agree, Christina. Great comment. So the game for Quentin is his NFL playoff picks. He's picked against the Eagles every single playoff game and the Super Bowl, and he's lost every time. And hopefully that keeps rolling for the Eagles' sake. But let's plugs, final thoughts. Sean, Tom George.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Check out Pick Swap Media for all the Sixers stuff. I did do a podcast on some possible trades, so if you want to last minute watch that tonight, see if there's something to keep your hopes up on. Also hopped on iHeartRadio on Fox the Gambler today with Sean Bray, so chatted some Sixers there. You can check that out on their website or on my Twitter as well. So yeah, make sure to tune in that. That's been all my Sixers talk lately.
Pick Swap Media, if you're a Sixers fan, you'll thank me later. Go check them out. Tiago.
Yeah, you can find me at Tiago PHL on Twitter, where I'll be writing my Matisse Thybulle eulogy prior to tomorrow's trade deadline, where we will see him get shipped for a salary dump and move on with Tobias Harris as our main primary. perimeter defender. So looking forward to that. It'll be fun times ahead.
Final thoughts go to Tiago for making me say in public I would trade Tyrese freaking Maxey. Oh man, that was the worst. That was the worst. I have a surprise announcement coming up, big announcement coming within the next couple of days. I can't wait, but I'm not allowed to say. It's not coming from me. It's coming from somewhere else. It'll be really, really cool. Of course, all the NFL draft content. That's my baby. I've been obsessed. Tomorrow night is Party on Broad with me and Freddie breaking down more catastrophic Sixers basketball and Eagles versus Chiefs preview, of course. So go give Tiago a follow over there at Tiago PHL, at Sean_Bernard1, Pick Swap Media. I am Dibes for Tiago, for Sean, for myself. See you on the next post game. Stay awesome, everyone.